Hello, hello, friends. I think that we are live. We're competing against Monday Night Football tonight, but we don't, you know what? We're taking ratings away from them. That's how Steve and I look at this. We're not afraid of any other broadcasts going on. Thanks very much for joining us. I've got Flippin' Steve. He's a regular on tonight to just talk about sports before we end this crazy year. We're going to kind of just talk through a few different topics. Of course, we're going to, anybody that's got questions or comments in the chat, we'll get into that as well, like usual. But wanted to have Steve on before we kind of, wrap up the year and get on to whatever 2021's got in store for us. Who knows? So let's go ahead and bring in Steve. Steve, how's it going, buddy?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Pretty good. Is that a real Christmas tree or is it a fake one?
Oh, that's a fake one. Yeah, we don't do the real one because of the dogs and stuff.
Yeah, we went fake this year, and I don't think we'll ever get a real one again. Although, you know what? My mom sent me this wreath that's like a nice wreath that smells really good. So I'm like, you know what? We could just do the wreath thing and just do the fake tree. But
yeah, fake tree. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
That's right. Do you guys do Christmas big or not really?
Not anymore that my daughter's grown up and stuff. Yeah, it's not big like it used to be.
Your wife expects a lot of presents?
No, actually not, because we kind of do for each other, throughout the year. It just
right.
We basically, we don't do holidays. We've been together so long that it's like
yeah. My wife and I, we're definitely to that point too. We don't really. Well, you know what? My wife grew up in Italy, where like they just didn't do holidays big. So
oh, really?
Yeah, and sometimes it has the opposite effect where if you didn't grow up with big holidays, and then as an adult you do big holidays. But she's not that way. She's just kind of like, like we do. I mean, we celebrate it, but we don't. We're not opening 400 presents, on Christmas morning or anything like that.
Yeah, it used to be crazy when my daughter was younger, but now it's just kind of like, it's almost like a relief.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, guys, let's first say hello to Tom. How's it going, man? Good evening. Paul Carl Cards, flipping and collecting. Caesar Alcazar, how's it going, bud? And then 7Knock7. I'm probably not saying that right. Sorry, man. It's good to see you guys. Thanks for joining us. I do have the Browns-Ravens game off in the distance. I'm not watching it, but I am. I can have like one eye, kind of like the side eye, kind of looking over there occasionally. I'm kind of a de facto Browns fan. My in-laws are in Dayton, Ohio, and the Browns are having the best year since I think Bernie Kosar was QBing. Boney Kosar. It's a big deal. Steve, your Dolphins almost beat the Chiefs. Am I right?
Yeah, for what it's worth. I mean, the first quarter and a half, Miami pretty much, they looked like they had KC's offense like wondering what the hell was going on. And then, once KC gets rolling, it's hard to stop them after that. Big Tyreek Hill play opened it up. He actually had two big plays in that game. He only had like one catch, but it was like a long touchdown. And he touched the ball one other time on like a long end around or something. So he had two touchdowns on two touches.
Wow. Yeah, the Saints have them up this week. So they laid an egg against the Eagles, and now we get them. So we'll see. Our season, I'm hoping our season's not unraveling before my eyes. But you know what? We had won 9 straight, so I feel like we were kind of due to like do something horrible, and we did. We just played.
Yeah, I mean, look, Pittsburgh Pittsburgh has gone and lost 2 now too. I mean, there's a reason why people don't go undefeated, and you have long winning streaks, and then you lose. It's law of averages. I would rather lose now. I mean, look what happened in New England when they went undefeated and they lost the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You need to get that loss out of the way, get back to the grind, get back out there, and sometimes it's a reality check. You don't know what your weaknesses are until somebody exploits them, and then you go back to the drawing board and fix it.
So 7Knock7 says he's got the Pelicans Heat game on. What's going on there?
I've been watching the box score on it. Zion's going off, and so is Tyler Herro, which is great because I'm in on both of those guys. I'm heavy on Tyler Herro, and I picked up some Zions because I really wasn't scared.
You're heavy on Tyler Herro cards?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. For the second time around.
Yeah, you got in. Yeah, So did you buy after the finals? Is that what you mean the second time?
Okay, so my first flip on Tyler Herro was Came and Gone. That was on the Prisms, and I was buying lots of them. They're only $5 a card. I was buying them in lots, 5 for $25.
I remember
stuff
those.
like that. And this was in February and stuff when everybody was buying, Zion and stuff. I was buying Tyler Herro and Kobe White, just some guys that weren't being bought up that much. Both of them were $5 a prism, pretty much raw. When I was buying them bulk, I was buying them 5 here, 10 here, $25, $50 for lots. I submitted 10 prisms of Tyler Herro, and I got 9 10s back. And I got 9 10s back because I had a bunch. I had a lot. I had a bunch of them. So I was able to go through all of them and find the ones that I thought were the best looking ones. I sold them all during the bubble for about $275 each.
I'm just thinking out loud because you're talking about how you were kind of going after, Kobe White, Tyler Herro, everyone's talking about Ja and Zion. I mean, is there any merit? And I know this can vary by draft class and everything else, but actually, no, not really. And here's my point. Does it just make sense if you can get good deals like that on players that maybe you're not 1,000% in on, but you're like, you know what? Mm-hmm. They don't even have to be, the next LeBron. I just need them to have a string of games where they scored 30 points, and then I'll just reset these.
Well, I like Tyler Herro. Anyway, coming out of college, I watched a lot of his high school games and stuff. Not in person, but I followed him through high school, there in Wisconsin and stuff like that. And I just thought that he had a good game. I thought that he was, he needed to build up a little bit because he was, he was a teenager. He was thin. And I was like, but if this guy builds up a little bit and adds a little bit to his game. But the thing that I liked about Tyler Herro, other than that I thought he was going to be a good player, was I thought he was very marketable. I just thought he had a look to him that the NBA would try to capitalize on. And you saw that because even after basketball was over, he was still followed a lot. He just has something about him that whether it's his attitude or his swag, which is the term that people use.
Yeah, his that smirk that he made in the finals with eyes, that's on a meme. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, I just felt like he was very marketable. He kind of gave me the Baker Mayfield effect. And I know that some people might think that's a bad thing, but Baker, when he was a rookie and he got he come out his second year and it bit him because he was in all the commercials and this, that, and the other. But it was kind of the same situation where Tyler Herro was expected to go to Wisconsin because that was his home college. He was going to go play University of Wisconsin, and then he opted he changed last minute and decided to go to Kentucky, and they hated him, like he was getting death threats at home and stuff, and they were all saying you'll ride the bench in Kentucky, you'll never play in Kentucky. Yeah, and it's kind of the same thing that happened with Baker Mayfield when he transferred colleges to start, and he just came in with a chip on his shoulder. You could see him playing in the bubble. He didn't take a play off, like loose balls, everything. He was playing like he had something to prove more so than, maybe he was playing for playing time. I don't know what it was, but, the game, the shot, the ball handling skills and all that was there. And he looked, the motivation came. I just liked him. I like him long-term too. But I couldn't turn down flipping those in the bubble when they came. Yeah, because the profit was too big. In order to get back in on him, I had to buy selects because when you remember buying a prism for $5, it's hard to go back and buy it raw now for 40. So I got in on his selects for about $12 a piece, $12 to $15 a piece. I actually bought 12 of them because I got 2 lots of those, a lot of 7 and a lot of 5. I don't know if I'm going to send them to Star Stock or if I'm going to have some of them graded. They look really good. I've looked over them. So I actually got a pile of cards here because I've been doing a lot of stuff on Star Stock, especially with the preseason starting and, some of these bench players getting extra minutes because the coaches and stuff are trying to see what they have. And these guys are getting in and they're scoring points and it's not sustainable. So Star Stock makes these guys sellable just based on their hype. We were talking about the one guy before we went live. I'll wait to talk about him if you want to wait. But I mean, he's an example on Star Stock right now where his cards were, 50 cents and then they were $35 for a raw optic. Wow. So if you had those sitting in Star Stock, or if you bought those before he had those 2 games off, as starting, but he's starting because LeBron isn't playing and Anthony Davis isn't playing. And,
right.
When those guys are playing, these 25 and 33-point games that he's having in the preseason are going to go away.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely.
But that makes cards like this flippable and sellable. And especially if you want to buy a card for 50 cents and sell it 2 days later for $2, you're still pretty much tripling or 4 times your money. And people will buy and trade like that because they don't have shipping. Nobody wants to buy a $2 card and then pay more to ship it than they paid for it. That's where the value is. You don't have to ship these cards. Don't have to deal with the headache. You don't have to get in 10 raw cards of a player that you may never be able to move, and then they're just sitting.
Yeah.
They just stay in your account. It's very convenient. I'm sending a lot of my raw cards there.
Now, you saw eBay's got that new shipping option now, the trackable, plain white deal they're doing. Now, I know it still doesn't solve the issue that you're talking about as far as just having to still ship everything one by one and all that. But I kind of wonder if eBay really pushed that through in response to these types of platforms, the ComCs and the, and the Star Stocks. And I have to assume there's probably going to be more of those.
Yeah. And I mean, for example, I took the player on the Timberwolves, Jalen Noel, who had a fourth quarter in the Timberwolves preseason game. He had a fourth quarter where he put up 20 points. I mean, he just exploded in the fourth quarter. I went to Star Stock because I was just sitting there and I watched these guys as they play, and I'm like, oh wow, his prisms are 60 cents, and I bought 5 of them for $3, and now they're selling for $4.50 a piece. Now that's not big money, but it's a big percentage gain.
Yeah.
And if you do that enough, and it makes it easy because I'm not getting these cards in, having to wait, and then the guy having a bad game and nobody wanting to capitalize on the hype as it happens.
Well, and
you just buy them and sell them.
And you're also not dealing with someone that's canceling the sale. Oh shoot, I didn't mean to have this up. Type thing at that price.
Yeah, I'll buy a card for $1, and sometimes I'll literally sell it 3 or 4 hours later for $5. And it's done and it's over with, and the money's in my account, and the card's in their account.
That's fun. Yeah,
it's fun. I just put $100 in there to play around, and I did really good. I bought a Kobe White Select out of there. I just sold it for $27 raw. I mean, right in and out. I bought it for $10. I bought the lowest price one on there, relisted it, and got $27 for it. So I was like, hey, I'll take that. I'll take that $17 profit and put it back into some of these dirt cheap, 50 and 60 cent prisms of guys who are playing tonight.
Now, how easy is it to have you cashed out yet? How easy is it to cash out if you want to cash?
It just has your cash in it, and you can either have them send you your cards, or you can do, send me my money. They deposit the money into your bank account wherever you want it.
Okay. Is there because I know with ComC there's added charges and things to cash out. Do you know how that compares?
I know that they charge you when you sell. I'm not 100% sure what the percent is, but the percent is way better than eBay.
I think it's
that much.
5% maybe.
Yeah, it might be 5%.
Yeah.
And
but yeah, I mean, if it's convenient, 5% all day.
Mm-hmm. And they even offer grading now. If you want to have a card sent directly from your vault to PSA, they'll send it on a 20-day economy. So they still get the 20-day economy because they're a preferred seller. Because that's the service that PSA has put on hold. But you can still get that 20-day economy. It's $30 a card. But what they do is they send it in, they get your card back, and they add it to your vault, or you can have them send it. I got a really good one out of there because I found a Topps 2004 Topps Ben Roethlisberger rookie in there, and it was raw. But they give everything a soft grade. An A is what they're pretty much saying it's going to grade a 9 or a 10. So I went on eBay and I'm like, okay, PSA 9s of this card are $150, and PSA 10s are between $400 and $500. And this is sitting here $35 raw, soft graded at least a 9. So I'm like, I bought that for $35, and I can pay them $30 to send it in for me. If I get a 9, I'm going to win on it. It's 100, it's $150 on eBay all day long, and it's selling pretty liquid because it's Ben Roethlisberger and it's the Steelers. And and if I get a 10, then I made big money on it.
How does that work? So they get it graded? Does it then come back into your account and it's a 9 or a 10 or whatever, or do they mail it to you?
It comes back into the account because they sell graded cards on Star Stock as well. It's just not raw. They do have PSA 10s and PSA 9s.
Okay.
And the raw cards on there, if you're a seller, your raw cards get a premium to eBay because people get a little bit of a peace of mind that they're buying a card that's in decent condition because it's already soft graded and backed by Star Stock, saying, hey, this card isn't 70-30. This card hasn't got surface scratches. So if you look like right now, like Kobe White raw prisms have really gone up in price. On a Star Stock A is like $50, but you're still on eBay going raw. They're like 30, but they're selling on Star Stock, and people are paying that 20 extra bucks for that peace of mind of knowing that, hey, I got a gradable. I'm going to be getting a gradable card if I buy this. Now,
what happens if it's, you're like, okay, it's an A, you send it off and it gets a 7, what, is there any sort of like, or is that just a risk that you take?
I guess it would just be a risk. I mean, with them partnering with PSA, they say that they look over the card before they send it, like anything you want them to send for you, and they will let you know, hey, we don't think you should send this, or hey, we think you should. This should get a 9. Like they do that. I think that because they're partnering with PSA, that PSA is probably going to grade them a little more generous. Or it would look bad if they didn't.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was, and the reason why I ask is I signed up for an account today, and I was just trying to kind of like, and I just dove into it a little bit, but I haven't. I think it is a platform I do want to kind of get more acquainted with and use more. So
it's fun, but because it's electronic funds, it's not actually cash changing hands. It's easy to spend. Like you'll see lots of guys that may never even make a team or be in the D League forever. And you'll be wanting to be like, oh man, I'm 50 cents, 50 cents, 50 cents. And you'll be wanting to buy them all up. I've just grabbed a few guys and I'll instantly flip them. Like I pretty much told myself, if they double in price, I'm just going to go ahead and spin them, or at least I'm going to go ahead and get back what I invested and then sit on the rest of them if I have to. But yeah, because like I said, I bought, what was it? 6 Jalen Noels for like 50 cents, or it was 5 of them for like 60 cents, 5 of them for 60 cents. So that was $3. Now they're selling for like $4.50 each. So I could put one up and get my money back, so then at least I'm home free on the rest of the cards. Whatever happens to him, happens to him. If he ends up never being anything, at least I didn't lose. But if he does blow up, and how easy it is, 1 or 2 games of 20 points and everybody's like, oh, $15 for this guy.
Right. That's interesting. Oh, that's fun. Cool. Well, actually, speaking of that, let's go ahead and seg into the Lakers player that we were talking about beforehand. So
yeah,
he's an example of that, right? Where basically his cards were 50 cents and now they're $20 or whatever, $30.
Yeah. Well, and this is the supply and demand factor on this guy because I haven't been looking a lot at eBay this week. I've done most of my transactions on Star Stock. So I don't know what's his name? I don't know what Talon Horton Tucker is selling for on eBay, but I know that his Star Stock A's had actually had a sale of $44 for one of them. This was a card that, 3 days ago was 50 cents. Didn't even know existed. Now, he doesn't have a prism, I don't think. Optic is his first rookie. So it's the Optic rated rookie that is his. And I just happened to have these by chance. They came out of packs. I didn't go and invest in these. I ended up with them. I didn't even know I had them. I saw the guy was doing good, and I was like, man, I had Lakers in a break. I wonder if I had any of those. And I went and pulled the cards out from that break, and there was 2 of them sitting in there. They weren't even sleeved. I mean, well, they were in soft sleeves, but they weren't in top loads. And, so 2 cards that were commons sitting in my box because the guy has 2 good preseason games are now, if they were sitting on Star Stock, see, it's come back down now because there wasn't many for sale. And so everybody's rushing to buy this guy that's blowing up. And who has Talon Horton Tucker listed anywhere?
Right.
So it was like they shot up to like $40. Now there's listings on StarStock. People who have had them in their vault have now added them to be sold, because you can store stuff in your vault, but you don't have to list it. And now because people are listing them, they've come back down to like that $22, $23 range. So anybody who might have bought them for 40, man, that's and people chase. That's what they do. I'm always against that, man. Once you miss that train, don't try to jump, But they're back down to like $20. But like I said, I don't look for it to hold, but that's just the reactive market that we're in. That's why I'm liking StarStock. You can capitalize on the reactiveness. With eBay, people can wait it out. If you put it up for buy it now, people can put it on their watch list and be like, okay, I'm going to wait it out to their next game and see how they do. Or I'm going to get an auction last however many days you put it up for. With this, you put it up there, you put your price up there. People want to buy it before somebody else buys it. So they just impulse buy it and it's gone. And the money's in your account. They got the card. If it comes back down from 40 to 20 the next day, there is no, oh man, I want to return this. It's theirs. So
you think there's a lot of, action on that site too, because it's kind of like new and exciting.
There's a lot more action coming in now, because I started it a little over a month ago and there wasn't a whole lot going on. And I can tell you over this week, especially since the preseason started, there's lots of transactions going on. I mean, they show you the analytics of what cards are hot, the most traded card of the day. They do a weekly analysis just for Prism. I mean, you've probably seen it, but it's a weekly analysis of which card has moved the most and which one has moved the least. And crazy thing is that Kobe White last week was the top mover, and then after this week's report, he was like -20. Now I think it's sales volume. I don't think it's the value of the card. But it's because when something's so hot, it has to come back down, So then it looks like Kobe White isn't being bought and sold, but he is. Right now, like the hottest card on there, this is a guy, I talked about this player so much, Markelle Fultz. And he's the number one trending card to start the week, his Prisms. And they're selling raw as a StarStock A right now for $45. And I talked about him in 3 separate videos, almost to the point where I was like, man, people are going to get tired of me mentioning his name. But the Prisms were $10 when I was talking about them, and the optics were $3. And I was buying the optics. I told everybody, I was like, if $10 is a little too much of a gamble for you, optics are cheap, $3. I bought a lot of them. They're next to me for $3 a piece. And now they're going on StarStock for a little over $12, like $12 and change. So,
wow.
And the Prisms are like 45. But he's a player that I liked coming out of the bubble last year. People were down on him for the wrong reasons. He was a former first pick of the draft. Didn't pan out in Philly. They traded him to Orlando, so he's stuck in Orlando. But he was struggling to shoot, and they thought that he had. They just thought he had a bad shot. It wasn't. He had an injured shoulder, and the team doctors muffed that up and still put him out there to play. They were like, he's nothing wrong with his shoulder. And then come to find out during the shutdown, he got a second opinion and his shoulder was wrong, and he had time to recover because they weren't putting him out there to play. And then when they came back to the bubble, he was one of the best players on Orlando. I mean, and they took a game from Milwaukee in the bubble.
Yep, game 1. Yeah.
And he put up I think he put up 22 points last night in their second preseason game. I think he put up 18 in the first one. So he's at 18 and 22, and he's going to be their starting point guard. I know they drafted a point guard, but like I said, if they play Cole Anthony, who's their number 1 pick, I think he's Greg Anthony's son. If they play him, they're just going to move Fultz to the shooting guard, which would be even better. He'll get more opportunity at the shooting guard. So either way, I look at it as a win-win for him.
Yeah, last season I went to I'm in Raleigh, so I went to the UNC Ohio State game. Ohio State was ranked 5th at the time, and Cole Anthony was playing in that game, and Ohio State absolutely smoked UNC. And Cole Anthony actually got hurt in the game. He played for like the first quarter, and then he went out with some sort of an injury. So I never really got a chance to really watch Cole Anthony that much, but he's an intriguing player.
He's a true point. He played well tonight or today, or whenever they played their last game, he played well. But Markel Fultz is the leading scorer on the team through the first 2 games. It's his job to lose. You know, he was, like I said, first-round pick. He's still young. First pick of the draft. They'll develop. I mean, he's in Orlando. That's the only downside to him. He's a quick flip, though. Like I'm saying, like if you bought his prisms for $10 and you can turn them for $40 now, do it. Don't send them off to get graded and wait 8 months because nobody's going to want him in 8 months because the season's probably going to be, the season's going to be over by the time you get him back, and he's another year older. But yeah, if you bought him for $10 or even $20, double your money right now on a player like that. There's some players from last year's draft that I like that I think are holders. We already talked about Tyler Herro, but guys like Markel Fultz who are, because ultimately, Orlando is just not going to be interesting.
Speaking of high picks that haven't really done a whole lot, what are your thoughts on Wiggins and Golden State? Do you think that he, can step up and like make his mark, finally, or is he just going to fizzle out? You think?
It's now or never. I don't know a whole lot about him. I thought maybe people just said his work ethic wasn't there. Like he was talented, but he was trying to get by on just his raw talent alone. And he really wasn't trying to improve his game or putting in a lot of extra work at practice and stuff. And that's kind of like what has been his downfall. I would hope, but he's been in Minnesota. I would hope going to a team like Golden State with some players like, a player like Steph Curry there would be enough to motivate you. Even if he doesn't personally motivate him like Jordan used to do to his players, get out there and make yourself better. You know what I mean? Like, so he'll have opportunity. He's another guy. I flipped on a couple on Star Stock, some selects. I was able to land a couple of his prisms from my LCS. They had given up on him and threw him in a $5 like bargain box. So I bought 3 prisms for $15 of his. They're in my pile to go to Star Stock as well. But I bought some selects off Star Stock for $8 a piece. One of them I sold for $15, and then I got the other one listed at $20. Somebody's made me a $17 offer. I just haven't taken it yet. I might wait to see if he plays another game or not.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point, though. I mean, with Wiggins, now he's playing with Steph. And, honestly, like Draymond Green is a big veteran presence that talks. Like he wants his, I think that they're going to want to be good. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, they want to win. Like Minnesota, he's going to a team with some players that, are strong personalities and that are strong leaders, better leadership, something that can get something more out of a player than just their raw talent. They didn't really have that in Minnesota.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's going to be one to watch, I think, Wiggins. I don't have any of his cards, but I thought about that. Maybe if I can just find something, that's kind of low still, maybe I grab a couple of them.
And I wouldn't have any if, I would just, you go to the LCS and you just browse. You see a $3 box, a $5 box of basketball cards. You can't help but look through it. And I would just, I just found them in there. It's not like I went out intentionally looking to buy Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah. All right. Joe says, hey, Joe, great discussion. Curious what you and Steve think about the first year in a new uniform phenomenon. Is that going to be sustained as a hobby impulse as we see trades, free agency, et cetera? I think, in my opinion, I don't necessarily think that it's like a thing that, the values just rise based on that. I think it also just depends on where they traded, what sort of collectability is there also for collectors, not just flippers or investors, but also, like AD going to the Lakers. I know there's a huge Laker fan base that wants guys in Lakers jerseys, LeBron in the Lakers jersey. So I think in my opinion, I think it depends on the player a lot. I bought some Kawhi in a Clippers uniform, but to me, that's probably like looking back, it's probably like, well, maybe that stuff will get a bump at some point if Kawhi plays well, but it's not really the same in my opinion as like LeBron in a Lakers uniform. But, so I don't know. I think that's a really good question though, going into 2021. Is that going to be a thing? Is the market going to continue to grow out? The hobby going to continue to grow out that way? Because that certainly has not been a thing up until the last 12 months that I know of anyway. What do you think, Steve?
You hit a lot of it on the head pretty much. It has to be a huge market. It has to be, your top 3 to 5 NBA markets. and it has to be your top guys. Now, anything has value for the right price. We've discussed this before. So if you want to take a flyer on somebody, I mean, I took a small flyer on Porzingis silver prisms in a Mavericks uniform just because they were like $1 a piece. If Dallas wins a championship or pushes really deep and Porzingis is part of it, even if it becomes a $5 card, we're not talking about a high value, but we're talking about profit being made. So I'm always looking into nooks and crannies where I can make a little bit of money, $1 to $5, because $1 to $5, you do that enough time, you can buy yourself a big card.
I
put
agree.
It away.
And as a Mavs fan, so that for me, I did the same thing. I bought Porzingis in a Mavs uniform. I've got some of that stuff because A, I'm a Mavs fan. B, Luka and Porzingis are an exciting pair if they can just stay healthy. If Porzingis can stay healthy, then they're young players moving forward. They could do big things if he can just stay healthy. So yeah, I think it's all situational. I think with that stuff.
Yeah. But if you're coming out of pocket for bigger money, it's got to be somebody that's GOAT status or Hall of Fame status and highly collectible. People become highly collectible, if you want to take flyers. But if you're talking about guys right now, it's got to be LeBron, Anthony Davis, and that's what they want they want a championship. Like Tom Brady to the Bucks, people probably chase the Bucks card, his first Buccaneers card, or at least his first Buccaneers prism. Which would just
there's Tom Brady collectors that are going to want those cards. Yeah,
I mean, there's something I like better, which I've talked with you about that I'm starting to dabble in, and that's older players. That's vintage players and modern cards of vintage players, I guess.
Yeah,
old school with the new school flavor.
I've been
mixed with the new school flavor.
I know. I'm like an old man. I've been buying old school lately. That's been my thing. I feel like I've speculated on a lot of young guys. But you know what? Honestly, with Star Stock, I'll probably go and do some speculating on there because of the ease of it. Like how you were talking about, you can move in and out of stuff. That sounds appealing to me. Buying stuff on eBay, waiting to receive it, reselling it. I'm like, for guys like that, I'd rather not. But yeah, I mean, I'll probably do some speculating on that.
Yeah, when you're buying a card for $1 and you're reselling it for $5, is that worth the headache of shipping and going to the post office? And
right.
I mean, when it's easy or you're doing it in lots, like if I did that, I would do it in lots, like just so I can get them out at once. I'd even sell them cheaper to get rid of lots. But with Star Stock, it makes it very doable.
All right, Baby Swagoo. Thoughts on Hoops premium stock? I haven't seen autos in the set. Also, Prism Football only has autos in the mega box. I wonder if that is a trend to keep a low price point. Have you been buying either of these, Steve? Actually, and honestly, guys, I haven't been buying any new product, and I haven't been getting into any breaks on any new product. I've just been focused on, on other stuff, honestly, with other cards. So I haven't gotten in on any of the premium hoop stuff. And then Prism Football, I'm in kind of I'm in waiting mode. I'll buy Prism Football this year, probably in the football off season is when I'll be looking to do it. So, February, March timeframe, maybe early April. That's when I'll be buying Prism Football stuff. Is my thought. How about you, Steve?
Yeah, I'm not buying any wax. I never really buy wax unless I happen to just be cruising through Walmart or Target and I see some sitting. I don't make it a point to go there to find it, and I don't buy it off of the sites. Half the time when I buy it, I don't even open it. I got a bookshelf here with hanger packs and cello packs and just stuff. I don't know. Someday I'll open it, or someday might be worth something, or I give a lot of it away. I give away a lot of Mosaic Football. I actually hit the jackpot on Mosaic Football. I was there as the vendor was there.
Oh, man.
He was just unloading the boxes. I was the only person there.
Yeah, and you left some. I remember. Actually, Steve sent me a picture. Steve sends me a picture after he had already left the store and was like, "Hey, I got some Mosaic Football." I'm like, "Dude, why didn't you get a few more? And then I would have paid you for it."
I didn't take that much. Like the shelf was loaded. Like there was no room for her to put anything else. And she was pulling out mega boxes. I was like, I'll take one mega box. It's like, I'll take like 2 blasters and I'll take some cellos. And then finally some kids showed up with their dad, and the kids were like, "Oh, it's Mosaic Football." I was like, dudes, there's like 30 there's like 30 blasters right there. Help yourself. I'm not here to buy all this up. Don't worry about me, because the mega boxes were still sitting up on her cart, and they were like, oh, there was like, oh, there's mega boxes, but I was standing there, and I was like, no, they're not mine. I was like, these boys want a mega box. You mind if they take it off your cart? And she was like, no, go ahead. And I was kind of handing her product out for her to some kids. I mean, they had to pay for it. It wasn't like it was free, but
right, yeah.
You know, they must have thought, or maybe they've ran into people before where they go in there and people are like, no, I'm hoarding it. This is mine. But I was like, dudes, I want a couple cellos, a couple blasters to open my YouTube channel and give away, and a mega box, because maybe I'll pull an auto. And
seems like
and I was it. I left. I was done with it.
There's 30 mega boxes, but 29 of them are going to my cart. So here's one for you guys. Enjoy.
I didn't even have a cart. Actually, everything that I had, I was able to carry in my hands. I was there grocery shopping. My wife had actually taken the groceries down, and I was like, oh, look, the vendor's there. Maybe she has something I might want. Just grab a couple when I want.
Good for you, man. I haven't been lucky, but honestly, though, I only go when I just happen to be in a Target. And every time I go to my Target or Walmart, there's a Target like right across the street. So I probably need to get smarter. What days do they normally, and I know this is regional, but like, are there certain like days that you would go, or is it kind of regional and you don't?
For me, for the Target, I've been there twice when the vendor's been there, and it's been on a Wednesday, like between 1 and 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Now, the first time, she didn't want to give me any product. Like, she was putting out optic basketballs coming out. And I was looking at the shelves, and they were pretty dead, pretty dry. She was like, is there anything in particular you're looking for? I was like, yeah, I'm just looking for some basketball. If you got anything, it doesn't really matter what the product is. And she opened up the box. She was like, I don't know what I have. Everything's all mixed together, which they don't. I mean, the way the vendors work is that they get boxes of stuff, and it's sealed by the people they distribute for. They don't even know what they have until they get to the floor and cut it open.
Oh, okay.
And it's just in random cardboard boxes. So, but she had cut these boxes open because she opened a box up and she handed me an optic blaster, a basketball. And I was like, is that all you got? I was like, you got another one? I was like, no, I'll take 2 if you got another one.
He's like, I don't know what I have. There's like 40 blasters in her trunk.
She said, I can't give you any more because somebody's coming in to buy it all. I said, what? I said, I'm here right now. I'm a Target customer. I just want to buy a couple packs. Like, I'm like trying to buy it all because I don't buy it all. I really don't.
Think about the hassle they have to deal with, though. I'm sure she gets hit up every single time she's
Well, she was like, someone just called me and they said they're going to come in and buy all the basketball product I have. I said, are you getting kicked? Are they paying you in the parking lot? I was like, she got mad. So she actually, she got mad because I was like, man, that's ridiculous. I was like, all I want is like a pack. I was like, I'm going to get a Target manager or something. And she got mad and she opened the box up and she grabbed a cello and she was like, here. And she chunked it. She chunked it. Yeah, she really did. And it hit my chest. I wasn't even expecting it. It hit my chest and it bounced off my chest onto the belt of the register there up by the candy. I was like, man.
Some dude probably was like, hey, lady, I'll give you triple whatever the retail is.
I was like, I hope you didn't damage the cards in here, right? So I took my cello pack that she threw at me. I got home. I opened that cello pack. You know what was in that cello pack?
Like a Zion RPA or something?
A Zion base and a LeBron checkerboard.
Hey, that's
LeBron Lakers uniform checkerboard.
That's karma.
I sold that on eBay like 2 days after I got it out of that pack for $450 raw.
That's karma.
Yeah, I know. That's what I said. At least she picked the right pack. I said next time I see her, I'm gonna be like, "Hey, you got any packs you want to throw at me today?"
Yeah.
But this was the same lady, and this time she was real nice. She was like, "I got all of this Mosaic football and Allen and Ginter baseball." I was like, "No, I don't do baseball, and I just want a couple packs. And I'm gone."
She's like, "I'm gonna bounce it off of your forehead."
Yeah,
that's awesome, man. I know. I'm hoping one day that happens. But honestly, though, I haven't seen like a line of people lined up, but I've seen like I've been there where I can just tell like I don't know. You can tell people have been like rummaging through and kind of in and out.
Yeah.
Like,
I've been in a Walmart here.
always Pokemon and Magic cards where I am. Like, there's no sports cards. Like, everyone just cleans it out.
I've been in a Walmart here where it was last year's Prism football. They had hangers, but they had all been opened. Like all the cellophane was cut off of them. I actually bought one of them, and I only bought one. Like I really don't buy it all. I bought one. I took it to my car, and when I went to open it, it wasn't until then that I realized that the box had already been opened. It was just cellophane, and the cards were shoved back in there. Oh, and I went back in and I looked at the shelf to see if it was the one that I had, and it was all of them that were hanging there had been opened and searched. So, wow. Walmart honored me a return. I was like, look, I just bought this and got to my car, and there ain't no Kyler Murray's in here. I want a refund. Actually, I said it was opened already.
That's really gutsy, though, because I mean,
I said every one on your shelf is open if you don't believe me, and they went and looked, and they were like, damn, it is all opened.
Yeah, I feel like that's pretty gutsy in a Walmart. It's not like they don't have security cameras.
I know, like there's people standing there. They got somebody with a blanket and a shower curtain, and the other guys in there opening them up.
That's wild, man.
I got lucky at a different Walmart because so I live near the beach, and in the wintertime it's dead. It's dead here. There's no tourism. There's no anything. I mean, it's like ghost town. So the Walmart down at the beach, about 30 minutes away, I can find product there sometimes just because there's nobody around to buy it.
Yeah.
Because all the people that live in that area moved back to like Jersey and stuff and up, Pennsylvania. And I found some Prism football in there last year. I bought one blaster out of there, and I got a Kyler Murray, and I submitted it, and I got a 10. So that was super sweet. Yeah. So I was straight out of a blaster to PSA. I got a 10. And I sold it, but when I sold it, it was still kind of low. It was like $600. I don't know what they're going for now, because if I looked, I'd be like, man, it's probably $1,000, and I would be like, man, I should have never sold it. So I never go back and really like look at the market on a card that I've sold.
Oh man, the one that really hurts my feelings are the Patrick Mahomes Prism rookie cards I had, because I bought raw and I bought PSA. I never owned 10s, but I probably had 5 raw copies, and I sold them for like $300-$400 after buying them, $100, $150 raw, because I'm like, damn, that's a lot of money for a raw card.
Yeah.
Now I look at it's like what, like $1,500 for a raw one. I'm like, oh.
Well, let's put.
I don't look back at this.
Like, to put things into perspective, last year, very end of December, it may have been very beginning of January, or maybe the end of January. I bought a Kyler Murray PSA 10 Prism for $100 even off eBay. It was buy it now, $100 even. And then the same person had a red cracked ice, and they wanted $150, and it was already in a PSA 10. And I didn't buy the red one. I bought the other one for $100, and at the time I was like, man, $100, that's kind of expensive. This was before football exploded. Yeah. But to put that in perspective, look at the quarterbacks now, man. If somebody had a PSA 10 Prism of Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow or somebody right now, I don't think they can, because PSA's turnaround times, I doubt there's any graded Prism in population, unless somebody had something insane that they did like a one-day turnaround on or something.
Yeah.
But you would never see one of those. You wouldn't even see the secondary quarterbacks like Jordan Love and stuff in a PSA 10 for $100.
No, I was picking up. You mentioned Baker Mayfield earlier, and Baker Mayfield stuff was not inexpensive. It was pretty expensive, up to like, I picked up a lot of Baker Mayfield stuff when they were last year, when they fell apart. They were like 2-6 halfway through the season, and I bought a bunch of Baker Mayfield stuff at that point. But even then, like, it wasn't anywhere near like in the same planet of where pricing is now, for rookies. Crazy.
I was buying Josh Allen Prisms in a PSA 10. The same guy, he was from Canada. I remember. So I was like, man, how did this guy from Canada get so many Josh Allens? But they were all PSA 10s, and they were all $39.99. Buy it now. Josh Allen Prism base. And I bought a handful of them. And a buddy of mine who likes the Bills was actually buying the 9s, and the 9s were like $14. And I that's one of the times when you're like, man, I wish I could go back and really buy a lot more of those. But and I did, and I sold them. I bought them for $39.99, and when they got to like $150, I was like, gone. Take it.
Yeah.
Take this off my hands, please. And I made my money. I made profit, so I can't be.
No,
angry about it.
and
But
we
there's a
talk
lot
about
more to be made on
about it
that.
all the time. We talk about it all the time because for every one of these players that I guess the thing is for me, a lot of for the majority of the new players outside of a hand, maybe 3 or 4, they're all flips mainly. They're all buy to flip within a couple of years. Buying and holding young players is kind of a dangerous game. Because some of them just aren't going to work out. But if you're buying and selling within a couple of years, I feel like 18 months, then you're okay if you're kind of playing that volatility game.
Yeah.
With some of these guys. But how it goes. And I learned that lesson as a kid. On my channel, I showed Harold Miner and Calbert Chaney rookie cards from '92.
Oh, yeah. Baby Jordan, Harold Miner. If it can fall apart quickly. So when a card goes from 50 to 150, you move it. Yeah.
I get it. No, I get it. All right, so let's seg into. We were talking a little bit about this before we came on, but kind of what's your outlook for 2021? We're wrapping up 2020. It's probably the last live that you and I are going to do this year. What do you think? We're going to see in 2021. It's been a wild blockbuster of a 2020 for cards. How do you see it? How do you see it going? Do you think there's going to be more acquisitions in the hobby? Do you think there's going to be is there anything out of the ordinary that you think is going to happen? Do you think it's going to just kind of level off, or do you think there will be more demand? What are your thoughts?
I can tell. For the whole entire year, I don't know. For this basketball season, I wouldn't be surprised if this basketball season was bigger than last season's. And coming into this season, I didn't believe that. Or coming into this, up until a couple weeks ago, I didn't believe that. I believe we had the perfect storm last year with everything, with the COVID and the stimulus, and there was no sports for anybody, and everybody was coming into the hobby. There was just so many factors that played into it. I was like, we'll never capture this lightning in a bottle again. And I'm looking at this preseason, and I'm looking at a 50-cent card go to $40 in 2 days off 2 preseason games.
Yeah. And
it tells me that people are spending money in the market on unprovens and reacting still. So, and you can see the transactions. I noticed it more so on Star Stock. Maybe that's what brought my attention to it. You know what I could see, though? Less graded cards.
How do you mean?
Even for myself personally.
You mean actually opting to grade cards?
Yeah, for myself personally, I've always been a buy lots, raw, look at the good ones, what you think would be a 10, send them get graded, and then try to resell your raw cards that you don't like to get graded, disclose what's wrong with them and just try to recover anything that you can off of those, and then make your big profits off of your raw to graded flips. Turnaround times are killing that. Price hikes are killing that. And that's what everybody did. And that's why the grading companies fell behind. But with this Star Stock platform, I haven't even looked to get cards graded. I could show you. This is 2 handfuls of cards that were going to PSA. Now, probably 70% of these are going to Star Stock. I'm not going to get them graded. I'm going to put them on Star Stock, and I might even send them all to Star Stock, because if I do decide I want to get them graded, I can have Star Stock do it for me.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. So I think that I agree with you. I think 2021 will be slower as far as submissions go, but I think that by 2022, PSA is going to have worked out those kinks with new ownership. And I do think that they'll be back. And then I think 2022 will be a big grading year.
Now, for big players or established guys, yeah. And if I want to try to buy some of those raw, if I want to buy some Dwayne Wade's raw, because they're a good buy in my mind right now, and get them graded, I'll do something like that. But a guy I was just talking about, Markel Fultz, do I want to go through the time and the money and the effort of getting a Markel Fultz card graded?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the guys that are maybe long-term holds, or maybe guys I want to get graded. But this quick flip, getting graded, there's no such thing as a quick flip on a raw card anymore if you want to get it graded. It's long-term. market. If you buy a card raw and you want to get it graded, it's automatically become a long-term hold because you're going to wait 6 months before you can sell it. So that's just my outlook. I look at a lot less modern cards of just your everyday run-of-the-mill players, a lot less of them getting submitted, which will allow the grading companies to maybe catch up because everybody and their brother was sending in everybody and their brother to get graded.
Yeah.
Just because you could take a $10 card and get a PSA 10 on it, now it's an $80 card, which doesn't make sense to me, but it's a necessary evil if you were trying to make money in this hobby. So yeah, I was doing it even though it didn't make sense to me. It was a necessary evil to me. Now my good stuff, like I bought some Dwayne Wade's and really nice parallels, like a numbered out of 50. Like, okay, I got this. And this is just a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar 2018 Prism.
Yeah.
But it's a pink fast break hollow. It's numbered out of 50.
Nice.
It's only numbered out of 50. It was $8 with free shipping. So I'll pay $12 to get this graded, and I can wait 6 months because it doesn't matter when you flip Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You know what I mean? He's going to be worth. He could be worth more in 6 months than he's worth now, but he's not going down anywhere. I don't have to worry about him going out and getting hurt or going out and getting eliminated from the playoffs or anything like that. So this is an $8 card that I can invest $12 to $15 in and have a total of $20, $25 invested in it. And if it gets a good grade, I will find the right collector that'll buy this numbered out of 50 Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Big market. Yeah. Top 5 player, probably top 3 or 4 player of all time. And under the radar, in my opinion. I've been all it takes is a Magic Johnson documentary, guys.
I just bought a 72 tops Kareem and an 81 tops Kareem in 8s, PSA 8. PSA 8s are very inexpensive. And I understand the population is higher, 8s than 9s and 10s, obviously. 10s and vintage are going to be real expensive. Mm-hmm. But those 8s are just kind of sitting there. And, the other thing that I wanted to throw out there too, this could be something, useful, I guess, for people that are watching is when you're looking at the PSA population report, and this is really for vintage cards. If you're buying vintage, it'll show, like, if you look at 8s, it'll say, like, let's say there's 2,000 8s. But when you actually look up a card, like if I look up, I don't know, a Karl Malone rookie card in an 8, it'll show me how many. If you actually put in a number, you find a specific number, you look up the certification number, it'll tell you how many have qualifiers. So you have to actually look through and see, like, how many of those 8s have qualifiers. Because if there's 2,000, but 1,000 of them have qualifiers, then that doesn't mean that there's 2,000 8s. Right. That means, like, net there's 1,000 8s, because an 8 of the qualifier is like a 6, or 5 or whatever.
And like a qualifier pretty much knocks the grade down like 2 numbers.
Yeah.
That's like the general rule of thumb.
Yep.
And I see a comment by Jacob here. He says, buy graded, sell graded, alleviates that issue, which I get. I do buy graded. I do sell graded. I just bought some graded Roy Hachimura Prisms because I don't want to buy them raw, because if I buy them raw, I'm going to have to flip them raw. I like Rui either way. That's me. A lot of people are don't like Roy Hachimura. I like him either way. Even if I have to hold him to when we finally have a Tokyo Olympics, I like him either way. So, I'll buy his stuff in a PSA 9. I'm not going to pay, $200 for a PSA 10. That's just ridiculous for a player who hasn't really done anything, and his rookie card's worth $200 in a 10. So the market says. I don't always agree with the market. So I'll buy the 9s for $40 because a raw is $40. So I'll buy the 9s for $4. I bought 2 of them last night. They went off in a lot. They were together. So, and I think I got them for $43 each, $86. So, and I got 2 together. The going price for them right now is about $50. So because I got them in a lot, I got them a little bit cheaper, and I only got to pay 1 shipping cost. So I put in a bid on them, and I want them. and I don't mind having him. I like Roy as a player. There's 3 guys that I like from last year's draft. A little longer term. I like Kobe White longer term. I like Tyler Herro longer term. There is John Zion, but everybody talks about those guys. Yeah. And a lot of people talk about the 3 guys that I just mentioned. These guys are not like their hobby secrets. But if I like 3 guys upside to get stuck with, I like those 3 guys. I don't like getting stuck on with Ja or Zion just because it's a really high price point. And then if you're stuck, then you're stuck in at a high dollar.
Joe asks, could we see a moment where raw cards that are clearly high grade, verified with quality scans, fetch a higher price for the moment when we do feel like grading turnarounds become more reasonable? Well, and I kind of wonder too, if it's like, star stock A, B, and C, if A is telling you that that's if people really, really trust, that star stock A, then you could, that could be a market in itself, where you've got maybe those star stock A's are approaching what a 9 would cost or something. I'm speculating here, but I'm just saying if that became a massive platform where that star stock A was highly trusted, then I could see that. I could see those raw cards being expensive.
Yeah, like I said with the star stock A, because they're putting that soft grade on it, they are drawing a premium over eBay raw. Star stock A's are selling for more than eBay raw, because people are getting a little sense of a sense of security. That the card is not going to have, surface scratches and things on it. And even with high quality scans, that doesn't mean somebody's scanning the card they're going to send you. So even if you see a scan and you're like, man, that card looks good, they could be scanning the one that they're sending to PSA and sending you the one that they were like, no,
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. God, I hope that doesn't happen a lot, because I bought quite a few raw cards. But yeah, you're right. That could absolutely happen.
Somebody could just use a stock scan. They could scan a card and have 10 of them and sell 10 of them and use the same scan for every listing. There's a comment here. Jordan Hudson says should do a video selling smaller cards, flipping up the bigger cards. That was actually one of my first videos I did. I flipped up to a 96 Topps 10 Kobe Bryant rookie, and I showed how I got there. Flipping lower stuff.
That's cool.
I haven't done another one of those. There is a card that I'm working on right now. I'm working on a PSA 8 or better Larry Bird Magic Johnson rookie, but I'm not going to come out of my funds or out of my pocket for it. I'm going to try to flip up to it. Try to flip some of these guys that are 50-cent cards selling for $20. Eventually up to hopefully I can get one at a good price, but that's what I'm trying to flip up to. I don't want to come out of my card fund for it, a big chunk, because I keep my card money, everything I make from selling cards, different from my bank account, so I don't dip into my bank account for my cards. And also I just have all this money in my PayPal account, and well, now it's eBay payments, but I just don't want to come out. I could buy it out of there right now, but I just don't want to come out, $3,500 to $4,000 or whatever it's going to cost me for one. And by the time I get flipped up to one, it'll probably be even more expensive, and I wish that I did. But
I sold one actually about 6 months ago, maybe. It was one of those deals where I bought it 2 years ago when I came back in 2.5 years ago. I got a PSA 5 for $208. And where I sold it, maybe it was like 4 or 5 months back, but I sold it for over $1,000. It just reached a point where I was just like, classic card. I love that card. I hated to see it go, but at the same time, it was just like, I can move that into other things. And ideally I'd love to be in like an 8, and it's like, I'm not going to have $4,000, like I'm going to need to work up to it.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to work up to it. Like I always do that. Like anytime I can sell some of these younger guys, these quick flip guys, I try to put it into stuff that I can just, hold longer. Like I said, I flipped some modern stuff up to a Kobe PSA 10 Topps because I didn't want to come out of my pocket for the Kobe. And I got there and I got one. So now I'm looking for a bigger, I guess it's bigger now. At one time, that Kobe was up to like the $4,000 mark, which
Yeah.
is about the same price for this card that I'm looking at, but this bird card. But I mean, if you got 1,000 for your PSA 5, then you did well.
Yeah. I mean, and it was just kind of the point where it was like, how much further is a 5 going to go up? Like, is a 5 going to be a $2,000 card? I don't know. Like, I didn't feel like, because we're always trying to weigh that. Like, how much room does this thing have to grow? And we never really know. But yeah, it was one of those deals where it was just, I just had to do it.
Yeah, you're right, Joe. Here we go. Here we go. You guys see that? Zion was 26-11 tonight.
26-11.
Here we go.
I really hope. I hope for him. He's a good kid. I hope that he has a great season.
I did comparisons on Select to Prisms in a video talking about how everybody, all the top sellers in the market, Tatum, Luka, Trae Young, all of their Select PSA 10s were almost exactly half, if not more, than the Prism. So like Trae Young Prism in a PSA 10 was selling for like $650, and his Select was like $375. Tatum Prisms were like $750, and his Selects were like $400. They were like just they were slightly over half. Even all the way down to Ja Morant from last year's draft, where his Prisms were like $500, and his Prisms were like $4 something, and his Prisms were right around the $200 and $210. I mean, Selects were like $210. But Zion was sitting at $650 to $700, and his Select was still sitting at $225. He was the only player that wasn't at least half of the value of his Prism. And I said in a video, I said, if you're looking at a good price point on a Zion, if you believe in Zion, it's a pricey card. It is $225. I said, but the market's going to adjust. And I just looked at them today, and they're $350. I grabbed 2 of them. I grabbed one for $225 and one for $230, and they're already up to $350 before he dropped these points. So
yeah, I mean, look, the people. Here's the thing about Zion: it doesn't even matter in my opinion. I don't even think it matters if you think he's going to be the next LeBron. He is going to be one of those highly volatile players. He's like I don't know, a big stock, a tech stock or something. Like, he might go up and down, but you just kind of play those. You just play that. I have 3 Zion cards. And I bought 2 optics in the offseason, like when the Pelicans didn't make not in the offseason, but when the Pelicans didn't really go anywhere in the bubble, I bought 2 of his optics for raw for like $45. But it was because, I'm thinking like at some point he's going to get hot again. At some point there's going to be excitement around this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. It was surprising. Ja and Zion Select PSA 10s were selling for about the same price. Just the market wasn't adjusted on it. I don't know if people weren't paying attention to it, if they don't like the card, but it doesn't make sense for the other,
This is funny. But Matt commented on one of my videos. Was it today, Matt, or yesterday? And I wasn't saying that you don't have a good point. That's not what I was saying. But he made a comment about like Tiger rookies are being slept on, and he also said in the comment that Tiger is the GOAT, and that Tiger's the GOAT, and there's not a close second place. And I said, I think Jack Nicklaus would have something to say about that. Steve, tell him why Jack Nicklaus might be relevant. But also, you're right. I think I think you're absolutely right. Tiger is the GOAT, and but there's like 9,000 of the upper decks, and what is that?
Field Wax, 2001 Upper Deck Golf.
Yeah, there's 9,000 of the PSA 10s, which, look, if you're looking at Luka base at 15,000 or Zion, like 9,000 is not, it's not that much. So, and Matt was saying, I think it could get to $1,000, based on that. I don't think that you're necessarily wrong, Matt, at all. I'm not saying that it couldn't reach $1,000. It's just that it was also printed kind of like there was just a lot of those printed, and that's just like a tough one. But I love the card though. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I have some firsthand experience with that card, not just buying them, but I have a case of this 2001 Upper Deck Golf. It was 12 box. It was a 12-box case. I have 8 boxes left. Opened 4. Out of 4 full boxes, I pulled 1 Tiger card. So either this is really like mass produced and the Tigers are few and far between,
or the Tiger cards are just hard to pull. And the one that I pulled had a ding on the corner. So even out of the box, fresh out of the sealed pack, it had a ding corner to where I didn't want to submit it. There is a ton in the pop report. You're right. You got to ask yourself, is golf cards, going to draw that kind of demand? When you're talking about a lot of Lucas in the pop report, he's drawing the demand to meet the supply. It's Tiger, so we're not just talking about golf. If it was,
so athlete. I mean, he's the most recognizable athlete of the last 20 years globally. I mean, I completely understand the thinking. I'm not saying that I'll never not buy one. I mean, I might buy it.
Here's the thing that scares. It doesn't really scare me, but he has cards prior to that upper deck. The reason the upper deck has been adopted by the market as the rookie card. But he has some previous like Masters cards and things like that, and people just kind of say, "Oh, well, they're novelty cards." But if they have tougher grades and they have less population, they're going to become chase cards. So, all it does is take the market to swing and be off of this upper deck card and be like, "Man, you know what? He has earlier cards, and now these become second and third year Tiger cards with a 10,000 in the population," and you're like, well, damn, So that would be the only thing in the back of my mind. For me personally, I would rather own some of his more scarce stuff. The one that I have the jersey relic that comes out of the same product, but you like one per case, you get like a jersey relic, or I mean, it's like a polo shirt relic, and like one per case, you get one of those. So one in like every 12 boxes. And it doesn't have to be Tiger. It could be anybody. It could be Steve Stricker, Corey Pavin. I mean, it could be any of these old golfers. So I got a Tiger 2001 Upper Deck jersey card in a PSA 10. There's like none of those in population hardly. And I bought it for the same price that the base rookie card was selling for. The base rookie cards were selling for like $500. I was actually surfing eBay to buy some of those. And I skimmed past this. It was like 1 a.m. I was in bed, couldn't sleep. And I skimmed past the jersey Tiger card, and I was like, wait a minute. And I pulled it back down. It was like, buy it now, $400. I was like, this is $100 less than the rookie. Now I know it's an insert, but this is his rookie year insert relic card. These are pulled once per case. It's a case hit basically, and you're not guaranteed to get a Tiger Woods. And it's already graded in a PSA 10.
Yeah, and it's not guaranteed.
I was like, I'm going to take the $400 I was going to spend on the regular rookie. I'm going to buy this one.
Yeah, no, that's a good.
And I think the pop report might be in the single digits on it. It was just one of those lucky things. I wasn't even looking for it. I didn't even know it existed. Actually, it never crossed my mind to look for it.
Yeah, but you're the king of obscure cards, Steve. Like you find all the crazy stuff that
not all. I mean, but not all of them work out. Like some of them are just. I just believe that rarity. It doesn't have to be liquid. Like I buy stuff. I buy stuff that's not necessarily always liquid. Like I said, I bought Kelly Slater surfer cards, 2 of them, because I bought a Tony Hawk graded for like $100, and now it's like worth $500. Or selling for that much. I won't sell mine because mine's a PC card, but I wanted to buy another one, and that's why I knew how much they were selling for now. I wasn't looking to sell. I was looking to buy and was like, holy crap, I can't buy another one now. They're $500. But so I just was like, man, who else has been super popular X Games or along the lines of skateboarding? And I'm like, Kelly Slater. Now, not to everybody. Not everybody likes surfing. Not everybody's even heard of Kelly Slater. But if there's to be a most popular surfer ever, it would be him. I mean, he's the one on all the video games and things like that. And it only takes the right person. Because if you look in the PSA Pop report for Sports Illustrated for kids, Kelly Slater, you won't find any. You put one in a slab, you put it on eBay, you hope the right person sees it. Like I said in my live stream, a rich person out in Malibu that's looking to buy a Kelly Slater surfer card and doesn't care how much it costs.
Yeah.
And you've got the only one or one of the only 3 or 4, you know what I mean? And so, but it's something you might have to just put away for a while, and you may never find that buyer. But, it's only going to cost. It's only like a $15 investment with grading fees. It was like a $3 card.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. What about, are you buying any kind of like vintage football or vintage basketball stuff? I know you're buying like vintage players and like Prism products, but do you also mix in like any vintage stuff or baseball even?
Yeah, well, my baseball grab right now, he's not really vintage. It's still Albert Pujols. I'm still grabbing a rookie of his here and there when I see it. Just because I'll take one and put it away. If I buy one a month or one every 2 months, eventually I'll have a nice little stack of them. His time will come when everybody realizes how great he is. He'll be inducted to the Hall of Fame. If he plays another 2 seasons, there will at least be a chase for 700 home runs. I mean, I think he's sitting at like 662 or something maybe. So he won't hit 38 in a season, but he might be able to do that in 2 seasons. And just the hype around a chase of 700 would be enough for his cards to skyrocket. And that's not even taking into account what he's already done in his career. World Series, all kinds of MVPs, Rookie of the Year, top 5 home run of all time. I mean, he passed Willie Mays this year.
Yeah.
People don't think about that. Your top 5 home run hitters of all time are Barry Bonds, who's questionable to some people, Hank Aaron, absolute legend of the game, Babe Ruth, absolute legend the legends of the legends. These aren't even just legends. Babe Ruth is the legend of the legends. Alex Rodriguez, who's questionable. And then you got Albert Pujols sitting at 5. With those names. And his cards are just...
And Pujols never had any of the PED stuff, right?
No, never. So he's been clean his entire career. He's got over 3,000 hits. He's approaching 700 doubles. If he hits 700 doubles and 700 home runs, he'll be the first person in baseball history to do that. And he's coming up on both. 2 more seasons in the league, even though his average has dropped, he's still a career 299 hitter, even after like 8 or 9 years of really hitting like crap.
Mm-hmm.
That goes to show his first 10 years of his career, how dominant of a hitter he was. I just think he's on the price.
I think we're probably going to wrap up here in a few minutes, guys. So if you have anything else, any comments or any questions, we're at about the hour and 12, 13-minute mark. So we're going to wrap up here soon. Let's see. What do we got? 8. Oh, John, how's it going, man? Matt bought a Brett the Hitman Hart rookie card for the PC after Steve inspired him.
I was looking at one of those, man. I almost bought one. I got outbid on it. It might have been him. You might have outbid me on it. It was already graded. It was like one that looks like the American flag kind of on it. It was pretty cool.
It's awesome. I was never really big into wrestling, so I can't really – I know wrestling cards they've been on fire over the last few months, but I went to a couple – I lived in Tallahassee as a kid, and I went to a couple of like the Monday Night Raws or whatever they were back then. I remember seeing Lex Luger in person. That dude was massive.
Yeah.
And I know I was probably 14 at the time, so I mean, he looked even bigger. But man, Lex Luger. Lex Luger. Is that his name?
Yeah, Lex Luger.
Lex Luger. Okay. I'm like, am I saying it right? Yeah, no, that guy was huge in person. Unbelievable.
Real quick, a couple other – well, they're not vintage, but I think Peyton Manning stuff is good right now, whether you want to hold it short or long. Because you're talking about Hall of Fame induction in 2021, correct? That's coming up.
Right.
So that's Peyton Manning. And, I mean, he's still the only guy to win 5 league MVPs. People want to talk about Tom Brady and the Super Bowls, and that's great. But that was a team accomplishment. Like Peyton Manning, he won enough Super Bowls to make himself really relevant in the top 5 quarterbacks of all time discussion, which I think he easily is personally. I'm just saying some people will argue it just because they don't know any better. But the numbers are there. He held all the records when he retired, won a couple Super Bowls, 5 league MVPs. That's unheard of. I don't know if anybody ever do that again. And was just dominant when he played, and he's likable and collectible. And his rookie cards are affordable right now, especially if you just look at some PSA 9s. Bowman Chrome card is really good, but that card's protected by PSA. Don't buy Bowman Chrome 98 raw Mannings thinking you're going to get them graded and get 10s. Because if you look at the pop reports on the submissions and the 10s to 9s, it's just insane. It's like the Shaq, a 92 upper deck card. And that's another player I'm still buying a little bit on is Shaq. People want to talk about Junk Wax era 1992. That's why his cards don't hold a lot of value. But to me, I wouldn't be surprised if there was as many Luka Prisms printed as there is Shaq Topps rookie cards. Might be a little off, but when it comes to grading them, you're not going to find 15,000 PSA 10 Shaq Topps rookies. You know, there may have been more printed, but how many of those that are printed are actually good? You know,
yeah.
Technology's come a long way since then, and you can do the look on the pop reports on those. The one thing that can make a massively produced card that can give it a little bit of rarity is a grade, because now at least you got a pop report number on it, and you kind of got an idea how many of them are out there, even though that number can always continue to go up. I look for these modern cards pop reports to go up a lot faster than the pop reports on this late 80s, early 90s stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree. Those pops are not going up. I mean, they'll go up. You're not going to get a lot more 9s or 10s.
Yeah, I mean, like, even if you took in 100, if you sent in 100 Shaq rookie cards, how many 10s are you going to get? But if you send in 100 Lukas, how many Lukas are you going to get? I mean, the percentages are going to be way different.
Yeah.
The pop reports are going to grow on these modern cards. And even though something is Junk Wax era, in a slab with a good grade, it's going to add a level of rarity to it. Because these cards were just tough. They were miscut, straight out of the pack, straight out of the factory sets, damaged. Go buy a 92 factory set with the cellophane on and pull the Shaq out there and tell me if it's not 70-30 or 80-20, top to bottom, left to right, both sides. You'll be lucky if you can get a 7 on it.
Yeah, centering is a massive issue with those cards.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, what was it, 88, 89, or what did I open? 89, 90 Fleer, maybe, basketball. But I was all excited because I got the Michael Jordan All-Star card, and the centering was horrific on it. I mean, it would have been like a 5 probably, and that was right out of the pack. I got the packs, and I was like, you know, all excited to open up some of those older packs, but crazy.
Let's see. I also like in baseball, Miguel Cabrera. He's chasing 500 home runs, another really good hitter. His stuff's really, 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 like, almost forgot about him, but he's a good buy too. And hockey, we didn't talk about the Gretzky card, but yeah. I'm looking for Lemieux, Messier, and Steve Yzerman's now. I've never been into hockey, but I just believe that there's going to be some kind of ripple effect from this Gretzky. Rather it affects the entirety of hockey, but I do think it's going to affect some of your top 10 to 20 older players. It has to. It has to. It's just the way it works across the board in anything. When there's a sale of a card for that much, people are going to be like, well, if Gretzky's that much, who else was good? Oh, Mario Lemieux was good. Mark Messier was good. Gordie Howe was good. Now, those guys are vintage, Gordie Howe and Bobby Orr, so they're still going to cost you, Bobby Hall, guys like that, they're still going to cost you a lot of money just because they're vintage. But Mario Lemieux, Mark Messier, I mean, even in PSA 8s, like,
yeah,
you can get them for under $200 in a PSA 8.
Jaromir Jagr, remember that guy?
Yeah, I watched an O-Pee-Chee. Now, see, he kind of fell into that Junk Wax era.
Yeah,
his PSA 10 O-Pee-Chees go for around $300. I've actually been looking at one of those, but Messier is the one Messier and Yzerman are the two I really want to land. Messier first, but it's even tough to find those in an 8. They're tough. They're tough grades from 1980 O-Pee-Chee, and just like the same thing we just talked about with the late 90s stuff. The stuff's just hard to find in a tough grade. But yeah. I think that the price point on them is really good when people start realizing how rare these are to find in good grades.
Yeah, hockey cards are due for the big push. You know, they've gone up for sure, but they're due. They're certainly due.
Yeah. Now, I'm not getting hot and heavy in the hockey because, again, basketball has that internet or that worldwide appeal where it just sells higher than every other sport. But I still think there's going to be some money to be made in the hockey market if you get in early enough. just because these guys are all-time greats, and you can't take it away from them. Again, like I was talking about with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you can't take away what they've done. And it just takes a spark. It just takes notoriety. The stats that Mario Lemieux and the career that he's had has always been there, but it takes something to put attention on it. And I just think that something like Wayne Gretzky can put attention on some of these players. It's the same way the Jordan documentary did for Dennis Rodman. I mean, nobody knew how good of a player Dennis Rodman was until they showed him playing with Jordan. You know?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean he was. I mean, and with the Pistons, and I mean he was a. He's a Hall of Famer for a reason.
Yeah, but I don't realize how old I am until I talk to somebody younger and I say, "Hey, do you know who this player was?" And they're like, "No, who's that?" And then it puts into perspective how old I was and when I was growing up watching sports. And I'm like, and a lot of times that relates to me as to why some of these cards are so cheap, is because a lot of people coming into the hobby that are younger don't know these players. They just don't know any better. No fault of their own. But if something triggers them to it, now all of a sudden you got more money coming into that area of the hobby, whether it be vintage or second uniform. Like that's what people are buying. They're buying second uniform prisms because that's what they know. They don't know to go buy, an Hakeem Olajuwon card. They would rather take those hundreds of dollars and buy a LeBron first Lakers card.
Right.
And that's why I'm looking at these old players like the Kareem and the Prism, because now you're getting the mix of the vintage player with what the new people like, or the new people to the hobby like. So you're getting a legendary player on a card that's popular. Now I know it's not a rookie card or anything, but it's also not a reprint. I mean, it's a card in the set. It's not like this is a reprint of his rookie. Now that that's a different ball game. But
I did pick up some Larry Bird prisms when you were talking about Kareem. I picked them up last week because I was looking at them. I'm like, man, there's some good looking cards out there. That were like, it was like 2014 Prism, 2013 Prism Larry Bird stuff. Like, that's actually pretty cool.
I basically have put myself a criteria for what's going to make me buy these. I pretty much said if it's a Prism card or maybe even an optic, it depends. It has to be aesthetically appealing first. And if it's serial numbered under 100 and it's going to cost me $10 or less, I'm going to buy it. So if it's serial numbered under 100 and it's $10 or less and it's aesthetically appealing, which gives it collectability. So it gives it rarity with the serial number. It gives it collectability also because of the look and the player.
Yeah.
If I can get all of those aspects wrapped up into a $10 price point, then I'm going to buy it. If it goes over it, I'm not going to buy it. And that's how I'm going to limit myself. And that's how I'm going to discipline myself into not buying everything that I see. But like I said, this was $8 shipped. And it's numbered out of 50. And it's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on a Prism card that looks pretty cool. So I've looked at some birds, but the birds have gone over what I'm allowing myself to. And Bird is my favorite player, so that one also tugs on my heartstrings sometimes. I'll see an awesome green cracked ice of Bird, and it just looks awesome with that Celtics uniform. I saw one the other day. I was like, that card looks amazing. It was a 2019. It was last year's Prism product. Well, this year still, I guess, Prism product. Green cracked ice and Birds on there shooting with his green Celtics uniform. I'm like, man, that looks amazing. But I was like, I can't. And it got bid up. I mean, that card actually got bid up to like $40. I was like, dang, so people are paying.
I bought it.
But there's none of this stuff graded. There's none of this stuff in the Pop Report graded.
Yeah. I bought a 2018 Larry Bird blue Prism, numbered out of 199 for $11. So it was a little bit outside of your range for the $10 deal. I got it on ComC, so I didn't have to worry about the shipping part.
Somebody said, I guess he had no answer for that, but I don't know what question they want to answer for.
Mosaic Mind. Do you think that Karl Malone would be worth more if he won a ring? Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that Karl Malone was an all-time great player. I remember his baseline jumper it went in about 99% of the time. Yeah. And his whole free throw routine and everything else.
He was my favorite player through that era.
Malone was awesome. Stockton. Yeah.
Yeah. Other than the Celtics, Karl Malone was my favorite player at that era. Whenever we'd be playing basketball pickup games, and all my friends would be like, Jordan, I'd be like, mailman.
Yeah.
Like I was always Karl Malone. That's all I like Karl Malone. I was a fan of him. I didn't know about his character issues till I got older, and I was old enough to realize that he fathered a bunch of kids or whatever. It has nothing to do with him. I really don't know.
I didn't know that. I didn't know anything.
Yeah, I didn't know that growing up or anything. I guess I remember when he was on wrestling and he was wrestling against Dennis Rodman and stuff. But
okay.
But yeah, but if you look at it, there's a lot of guys who didn't win titles from that era just because Jordan was winning them, and when Jordan wasn't winning them, Olajuwon won them. There's so many Hall of Famers from that era that don't have championships.
Yeah.
I mean, Barkley's won, and Barkley's a guy who gained his value later. He people didn't like his attitude and his whole role model thing. I'm not a role model, this, that, and the other. He wasn't a very well-liked player unless he was on your team, especially in the middle of his career. When he got a little bit older, people actually started to cheer for him because they wanted to see him win a title.
Yeah,
but he became a fan favorite now. He's in the public eye now on TV, and he's always like the gentle giant. Well, Shaq's the gentle giant, but Charles is always on there as like the other guy, and he's just likable now. And that actually, it's one of the things that helped surge his prices was because his likability, but he was polarizing when he played.
All right, guys, we got to wrap up here. I'm starting to hit the wall. We're at the 90-minute mark. So we're going to probably wrap up here, but thank you very much for joining. I appreciate it. Steve, thank you for coming on, my man. And if I don't get you on again by the end of the year, then we'll definitely do it like first week of January. We'll talk basketball and see how the season opened up and all that stuff. Yeah.
I'll probably do a stream next week or something. Just I did my first one last because I was bored. I was even the title of it. I'm bored. But yeah. I come to the live stream with no content. I just pretty much say, hey, question and answer, and we'll just start talking.
That's good. That's good, man.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for joining us. We will see you again probably in a couple of weeks, honestly. Steve's on the rotation, so we'll have him back on here shortly. All right. Have a good night, guys.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
See you.